Hi, I'm Mark Sipp at Cracker Farm Auction. I'm here to discuss some rare Southern Redware bottles that we'll be selling in our October 25th auction. This pair, and it's the only pair that I believe has ever come to auction, they're typically sold singly when they do come up, is a pair of standing Squirrel bottles made in Salem, North Carolina during the roughly the first quarter of the 19th century. This particular mold has been documented to have been used somewhere about 1804 to 1829. You can see they're molded in the form of standing squirrels, a very appealing form in American folk art in general, whether you're talking about weather vanes or pottery or what have you. You can see that they have their hands clasped. Can you get the hand detail in there? Up towards their mouth in a feeding position. And occasionally you'll see a kind of crude clay nut put between those hands on some examples. They have nicely executed paws, including feet down the base. Bases are oval shaped and slightly concave, which is typical of these bottles. And their tails have this distinctive veining with a coggled circular design in a band spanning the length of the tail. And we have the hollowed spouts on the top. It's a very unusual pair. Both are covered in a clear lead glaze. You can see some iron flecking here and there, particularly on this example, and you'll notice they're both a slightly different color. These descended in the same family and were presumably bought together. An elderly lady in Florida had these. And then one example actually has a manganese drip from the firing, as well as some interesting little bits of white clay, which looks yellowish with the lead glaze over top, that sort of contaminated this batch in small numbers. You can see perhaps the most of it is on the paw right there. Most of these you see, a lot of them anyway, have a lot of damage to the ears. These ears have some chipping, but nothing terribly wrong with them. Little chipping on the base on this example, and a chip or two to the spout on this example. But as a pair, they're quite exciting. We're very happy to sell them in our October 25th auction. This right here is another bottle. This came from the same family as the Squirrel bottle that sold in our summer auction. And the owner of it had an aunt that collected a lot of early American antiques from across the country. And he happened to find this in a shoebox not too long ago. It has the desirable green copper glaze. It's a very thick glaze on this example. You can just see how thick it is on the tail. It's close to 1 millimeter thick. You can see a little glazed over chip to that green glaze. And just how thick it's like an enamel over it. So this glaze was made from a heavy white slip mixed with a decent amount of copper, and then there's a clear lead overglaze. The other interesting aspect of this bottle is the orange slip decoration on the eye, which we've seen some orange slip decoration in North Carolina before, so this isn't entirely surprising, although it's very unusual on Moravian bottles. Heavy scaling throughout, very typical of these bottles. A tooled spout, rib-like detail to the fins, and these 4 fins at the base with circular terminals. This example was modified when it was made to sit flat, like so, which is interesting. But whether it's the squirrels or the fish, these molded bottles from Salem, North Carolina are some of the most desirable forms in southern redware, and we're happy to offer these in October 25th auction.